Yes, but
Roll.
yeah, love one, thank you. I will.
Okay, guys, far away.
Welcome.
Go, John.
TVs, not today.
Ozzy, what was Aaron's reaction when you gave him the news he's captaining the team?
A little bit subdued in some ways from the external side, probably internally, very proud, and he's earned it. You know, he is a big part of our whole leadership group. He's a big contributor. He's grown to become an outstanding, preparer for a test match, and so I think there's a little bit of reward there, but it's also, it's something that we're very confident. We've watched his leadership through the Highlanders, and I thought he did a great job there as well. So it gives us a lot of confidence to give him that title.
What do you think it'll mean for him doing it here, and even for the locals here in Dunedin seeing him do that?
Oh, look, I'm sure they'll be excited. It's not really the factor in the decision, really. It's we gave him the captaincy because he's earned it, and because we've looked at this period and how we manage the resources, and so it was always kind of an intention of ours. And so, but I guess for him being here, it makes it just if it needs to be any more special, it probably will be.
Do you expect the Horde to be on their way up from Gore?
Yeah, well, I'll leave that to Plum to talk about. I think he's dropped Ethan in it a little bit, isn't he? So we're hoping there'll be a great feeling in that stadium. There's hopefully there's plenty of reasons to get under cover out of the cold and watch an All Black Fiji test.
Obviously, last year, Brodie. I mean, coming into your first stint in the job, how much harder did it make it not having a guy like him around?
Oh, look, we've got, last year I think at the start of the campaign, we sort of said one of our key goals was to build depth at lock, and so last year I think was really beneficial from that side of the coin. But there was always a plan with Brodie going to Japan. We went there for a reason, and he's come back pretty charged up, and so it's great to have him back. It's really important that we've held him back a little bit. You've got to remember he's come through quarantine after a full season. He's had 2 or 3 weeks, back at home training by himself. So it's, we'll see what we get on Saturday night. But we've got a lot of faith in him and trust in him, and I know he's jumping out of his skin to get back on the park for us.
Ian, injuries robbed you of a number of open side flankers, and throwing Ethan Blackadder in there. What sort of gives you confidence that he's ready for that role in his second test?
Yeah, well, when we selected the squad, in our mind, he was always going to be a 7 option for us, and so I think regardless of Dalton's calf and Artie's knee, we're always going to look at an opportunity. So it's presented itself, made it quite an easy decision to make, and he's trained well. He's probably got a little bit more anxiety about preparing for 7 than 6, because he's played a lot more at 6. But this year he's already had a couple of games at 7. We like him there. We think he's got an attitude and a desire to just work and be around the ball, and he brings a physicalness to that contest. There's perhaps a little bit of fine tuning in some of that areas around the ball to work on, but he's thriving at the moment, and looking forward to seeing how he goes.
Georgie Bauer's got a chance to start this week. What's impressed you about him?
Yeah, well, George is, it's come off his first test, and it's a great chance to start him. He's growing in his confidence, I think, at scrum time, and that's been a big area for him. And we're seeing this year, like last year, I think we put about 6 kgs on him just to improve some of the contacts, and now we're starting to see he's really starting to get used to carrying that weight, and now his impact in the collision area is growing, and that's where I know he wants to keep keep moving in that space. But that's a big area that we've seen the growth.
Was it always the plan to give most of the players a run in the first couple of games?
Yep, yes it was. It's we've looked at the series and decided that it was a great opportunity to look at I guess a variety of things that we want to do, both in terms of our tactical side and then to put some challenges in front of the players and give them the opportunity that if they prepared well and trained at a certain level that we were willing to make sure we did give opportunity. So it hasn't been pre-scripted or set up from a perspective. It hasn't been locked in stone, but it certainly is a reward for some for the way that they've presented themselves and trained. And again, it's a chance for us to use that attitude that they've been shown to actually build some depth and give us some more options.
Fiji obviously under Vern Cotter. What are you expecting from them?
Oh, look, there's going to be a lot of the unknown, isn't there? I mean, it's they had one game last year. They had a horrific stint in quarantine in Europe, and that must have been incredibly tough. But they did spend time together as a team. They've got a little bit of a contrast to last week. They've got a lot of players coming back from Europe who have been playing regularly, so then they've got a lot of quality players in that European competition. So they're a growing team. I think we saw that in 2019 in the World Cup when they really pushed Aussie and Wales, I think it was, and so they can play. And so probably what they're lacking a little bit is time together. But the last 2 weeks I've still been able to train pretty efficiently, and so we're expecting a lot of big, strong ball carriers. They run fast and hard, and I'd say that being under the roof is something that they're pretty excited about.
Yeah, and touching on that, what do you think it is that makes playing in Dunedin at Forsyth Bar so special?
Oh, there's a noise to it. There's certainly there's an environment there, don't you? And the players thrive off that. And so I think that's one thing. And I guess there's a certainty about what you're going to get at kick-off time. So you're not sort of making last-minute adaptations and adjusting your game because of that. So I think it's the certainty of that. But overall, it's more about the environment. I think it's noisy. You can hear people, and it's a great place to play.
One more slightly different note, football's coming home potentially. The All Blacks, I guess, know what the expectation is and in a sense carrying a bit of a weight of the nation. What would your advice be to them tackling something like that? I mean, enormous pressure on them now heading forward on Monday.
Who's that, sorry? Is it English or? Well, I'm an Italian supporter. I like the Mi piace Italiano, so I'm going to cheer for the Italians. But and you talk about pressure, well, let's not think that the Italians don't have pressure either. So you got two teams there that are, I guess, immensely proud, and probably you got fans that are immensely one-eyed about there's only one result that's needed. So, but that's what finals are about.
Just on David Havili, obviously being used in multiple positions in Super Rugby, but do you see 12 as his spot going forward for the All Blacks?
Well, it's the opportunity he's got in front of him right now. So we'll just take one step at a time. But it's it's where he played this year. He played well, got him selected, and that's what the jersey we've given him. So we'll just deal with that one at the moment.
When you're selecting a squad, do you also look at his versatility as well, though, to fill multiple positions?
Not so much in a squad. Quite honestly, when it comes to a World Cup squad, it becomes a big factor, and because you're limited to fewer players and your replacement protocols are different. But when you're picking a squad in between years, you're really looking at people who can really have an edge in a position that's going to contribute to your game. So the fact that versatility is not really a factor in our backline. If you look at it, we've got a lot of players that are, you got Rico that can go midfield outside, you got Geordie who can do a whole lot of things, so we've got Bodie who can go 10, 15, so we've got a number of players who are versatile. So, for us, we're after specialists primarily.
Were you surprised at all with how well he slotted into 12 in Super Rugby this year?
well, when I say surprised, I wouldn't say a surprise because he's always been a quality rugby player. He was out of contention for us last year, because he had a pretty horrific incident, at the end of Super Rugby, and so that sort of gave, he lost an opportunity last year. So I'm just more delighted rather than surprised that with how he's gone about it and how he's focused on his job, and we saw a guy who I thought was, he's always been skillful, and I thought at Super Rugby we saw him go through phases of learning how to deal with the physical side of midfield, but I thought by the end of it he did a pretty good job of it, hence he's here.
Were you always planning to put Rico and George back out for a second week, or what was the justification for that?
Well, George hasn't played much, and so really I think he needs a little bit of work, and I think by his own admission he probably looked a 9 out of 10 pace-wise last week, and so maybe an 8 out of 10, and so it'll just be good for him, and I think he'll be better because of that, and Rico in some ways it's a little bit like the Ethan Blackadder one. You got Braden Enoy who's been injured out of the series, and Albie's not ready to go, so probably made that decision quite simple.
Playing against their country of heritage, was that a factor at all in selecting George and Seven?
Not at all. In fact, I was pretty disappointed with a couple of articles last week that poked at us for not picking our Tongans to play Tonga, and I thought, well, we don't pick our team on race. We pick on team and what's best for the All Blacks. So the answer is no.
And did Mark Ellis get on the phone and ask you to put Will Jordan on the bench?
No, he didn't. But it's always going to be a winger, isn't it? They stick out there and just pick up the plums. But he's a pretty good plum picker.
He's certainly good form for you, isn't he? You've got some competition for spots.
Yeah, I think so. And but the competition for spots is not about having the right names. It's about having people who actually do what they need to do on the park. And so what we liked last week is that we got a lot of things right. I thought we still lacked a bit of accuracy in our back three in terms of our counter-attack last week. And so there's some things there that we've got to get better at. And you just got to be a bit careful that you don't sort of judge a great performance by tries and who scores what. So, but clearly there's, I thought he played well. Like I said, George is coming right. Really excited about seeing Sevu play this weekend because he's a player who's probably, in a lot of ways, was one of the most improved players for us in Super Rugby. I thought he went from being reasonably flat in 19 and he had a very strong season in 20 and had a strong season this year. So looking forward to seeing how he goes.
Yeah, just going back to Rico for a second, I appreciate this all could change, but is it your intent at this stage to primarily pick him in the midfield?
Oh, look, I think early on it's been our desire to give him a few runs in there, to give him a chance. Like he's actually, he's never really had a settled time in that space, and I think in some ways that's been made easier for us with Anton's injury and with Braden's injury. So it's and he'll be better for that. I think he's we've seen him in Super Rugby, and I thought he showed some really good signs of growth with the Blues, and I thought some of the key areas that we've potentially been a little bit critical of him before he sort of addressed last week, and I was pretty pleased with his game last week. So I think it's a chance against an opposition that's probably going to defend very differently. I thought Tonga were pretty passive in the outside channels against us, which meant we were able to play a sort of a high skill game there. I think we'll get challenged more in our decisions Saturday, and looking forward to seeing that.
And is that the bit that you feel Rico needs to work on, decision making?
Oh, look, it's the fact we all need to work on in that space. It's one of the big things is how people defend on the edge, and everyone does it slightly differently. And it's not about getting everything right there. It's about learning what they do and then adjusting. So you're not after perfection, but you're after learning through a game, particularly in that centre position, rather than just waiting for the Monday review.
Big expectations on Brodie and Bowden. Where do you think from Japan?
Yeah, I gave Brody a number out of 10, which I won't repeat to you. I'll probably, look, he's attitude-wise, they're both 10 out of 10, and I think physically really excited about where they're at. You know, like I think Bodie's looking fast. He's looking calm and excited. I think we saw that last week. I think Brodie is exactly the same. He's prancing around and he's got a little bit of a bounce to his step. He's still got a little bit of conditioning to do, and but it's more the skill set stuff and the speed of the skill set stuff that he's probably just making little adjustments to. But he's getting there very, very quickly. So, Saturday's about a really good opportunity for us to see where he's at, and we know he's going to be 100% when it comes to the commitment side of the game. I'd imagine he'll empty his tank pretty quickly, but really excited about getting his measurement on his skills under pressure in terms of his tackle and his catch pass stuff, and just put a bit of a marker in the space there.
Last question, guys. Any last questions?
Fiji obviously waiting 10 years to
I'll come to you
take you guys on.
because he's at heavy.
What are you expecting from them? A lot of hunger?
Yeah, well, I think, like I said before, they're definitely hungry because everyone's excited about playing at the moment, and in their case, probably more so. They haven't had a lot of opportunity. They've got like I said, a lot of probably battle-hardened athletes that are used to the week in, week out this year of European rugby, and so the chance to play 2 tests here will be exciting for them. So. There's going to be, and I think they'll relish the chance to show some of their skill sets too. And we know they can be a very skillful team if we let them. So that's what they want, and we've got to do the opposite.
Quite a bit of experience in your loose forward trio. The All Blacks have always had someone with plenty of caps here. Is there any concerns over that?
No, I don't think. I mean, this is when you look through the test caps, it's a little bit different to 4 or 5 years ago, isn't it? But that's just the excitement of where we're at right now, and I think there's just great opportunities for players, and we've got guys that are desperate to come in and play well, and they're preparing and training like that, which is the key for us. And so that's why these tests are vital. And the tests is not just about the performance for us on the Saturday. It's about how they prepare and learn how to get ready for a test match, which is also half the battle for the new boys. So they're doing well, but again, the proof's in the pudding.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you. Cheese rolls now.
Cheese roll time.
There's fish and chips.